Baruch Daf Chof Ches. And we're starting from Chof Ches on the base because we finished already by Chof Zayin, the Perik Shishi. Now we're doing Perik Shvi. We're starting that's going to be Daf Chof Ches. Look the Mishnah. So we had before that there were many shifaris, that's pushkas, that they put in money. And each one was for a different thing. They were altogether 13. 6 for Nadava and other 7 for other things. Now what's the halach if you found money nimtzu ben ashkolim and Nadava? Between the pushka that's meant for shkolim, there's takn chalak takn atikan, and there's one for Nadava. So what do we say? Where does money belong? Somebody by mistake put money, he didn't put it into the right, it just fell out and it didn't put it into the pushka. So what do? Carve the shkolim, you put the shkolim. There's Nadava, you put Nadava. The pushkas were lined up. We'll see soon it was actually in a circle. So if it was in between, we measure to which pushka is it closer. If it's close to the shkolim, you put mechzel and mechzel, you put Nadava. If you don't know for sure, so we'd rather give it to Nadava. I guess because that's more chumradik. It's a oila, shkolim can come. Other kabbanas can come from shkolim. That's why if it's mechzel and mechzel, it goes on Nadava. Next, ben eitzim lelavaina. Also, it can happen that you should find the money between the pushka of the wood and the vaina. Carve the eitzim, you put the vaina, you put the vaina. Mechzel mechzel, you put the vaina. Because the vaina is kuloi Hashem. It's a carbon. Eitzim is only machshira carbon. So you only give it to the thing that's more chum. When kinam the goy's lo'il is then if you find between the kinam and the goy's lo'il, kinam is the chata, is the can of yeledes, or zav and the zave, and the goy's lo'il are kulei oilis. So korban kinam you put kinam, korban you put oil. So the goes the same story because oil is kulei Hashem. So you do the chumri, you give it lo'il. And chul la ma'aser sheni, korban chul you put the chum, ma'aser sheni you put sheni. Even if it's a kula, you still go afterwards if it's closer to one of the pushkas. You always go lachachli. So the Gemara it should have been only this way that bein shkolam the kinam. So if you realize, and you look in the previous perik, you see that it can also be that the shkolam and the kinam are close to each other. These two pushkas. The Mishnah says that it was found between shkolim and a dove. But isn't the shkolim and the kinam close to each other? So the Gemara answers, it was made like in a circle. Since it was like a circle, so it means that it's not a line. So there's both sides. So when you end, the end of the circle and the beginning are at the same point. So from one side there's shkolim and kinam, and the other side it's between shkolim and the dava. That's why both of them make sense. The Mishnah makes sense, and also it's not a steer with that shkolim and dava, because if you make a circle, then you see that there's both things can happen. And by mace, mace it goes on a dove. When I was there in Babel, I heard Shmuel, Yehuda asked me, Shmuel, have you shekalim mace? I'm like, you play in the dove. Now you want to ask a question. What do you do with Moisa Siyah Saifa? The Kohen God brings every day a Siyah Saifa. What do you do if you separated too much money? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Yilchim Amar Melech. Does Amar Yiplan and Dov? Kash of Yesh Chatas Kirei Ba'ila? Chizki Shem Shimon Tai Bezin Vel Moisa Shikir Ba'ila. So the question has to go because in Cheskel it's called this carbon, this Siyah Saifa is called a Chatas. So how can you bring it on a Dove? It should be like a chatos that's moiser chatos. Now, even that is schwer to understand because we have before that moiser chatos is also, this is the drasha of Yayad HaKohen, that moiser chatos is the Gemara brings down here the drasha. So it should be that the Gemara is trying to say that this is like chatos Kniskapru baleo, it that goes to misa. If it's achrayas, I don't know why. It's the chayim moisa. Why has a kasha? Why do you say that moisa yisaifa is nadav? Yesh chatas krei b'oilam. So it's hard to understand the Gemara's kasha. But the Gemara is answering on this that no, it's a t'nai beizin ala moisa sheikra b'oilas. Even though it should have been the misa, but it's oil. Now we see the Mishnah ben Kinan Lagoislam says it goes for the oilus. So the question is, Isha Leis Meis Mishkaperes. So what's going to be the Maisa? We don't know. It's in between, right? So it's a big suffix. Maybe it belongs to one of the ladies that gave money to bring a kam for a ziva for your lady, and now she's b'chusa kapar. She can't eat kadishim. She can't come into the Beis Hamikdash, and we don't. She thinks she's a skaper. So the Gemara tonight, basically, Avsakas Akinim, Avsakas Psuts. There's one person that his job was to take the money and buy with that money the kin. Probably made a certain profit. So we say that he has to make sure to give an extra can because of this one that's a soft. The Tzarech of the law and goes on the Eitzah. Now there's a few questions that's not clear. The Mishnah doesn't say all kinds of cases. What happens if you find the money between the goyim and the Eitzah? So both goes on the Eitzah. Is the Eitzah the Levoina? It says that you give Levoina. Goes on the Eitzah. So goyim are oilers. Eitzah. So we must be goyim here. So the gross goyim, it's interesting. The Tzarech of the law, bein kinam the Eitzah. That's a question. Or bein Levoina lezav lekapoyus. No, but no, I think we can go. We have been going to the Eitzim, and the Gemara says we said already. So obviously, goes to the Eitzim. The Chumrah is to give it for the Goizlam because that Goizlam is Kuli Oilus, and the Voina is also the Voina is more Chomer than Zavik Apoiris. This is for carbon, and this is just the cover the Beis Hamikdash. So I think we have to be Goyers here, being Goizlam the Eitzim, because that makes sense because that was actually. These two things are close to each other. And the same thing, the Vaina, the Zavdak Apoiras, is also close to each other. The Gemara says all these things are included in the klal of the Sefer that you give the Hachmer. Okay, this is the end of Daf Chav Ches.